ladles and jelly spoons. It's another episode of Once More with Feelings. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Beth. And we're doing a thing with the stuff. We have a podcast and it does movies.
Woohoo!
We do movies and we do feelings.
Lots of feelings.
We watch movies.
Yes.
Talk about our feelings. Talk about the feelings that may come up while watching the movie.
Yeah, I had this whole thing with, being tone deaf and maybe being a little off key.
So you were just going to talk about me?
I mean, I can sing. I probably shouldn't sing.
I know.
But
I'm the one that's tone deaf and cannot sing.
I wouldn't say I'm not tone deaf. I'm just saying
But what I lack in my singing ability, I make up for with my sweet, sweet moves.
So, I learned a long time ago that in music, the whole fake it till you make it doesn't work. Especially when you play the violin.
Also, does not work in nuclear science.
No. Or brain surgery.
Oddly enough.
Or
this
rocket
is how
surgery.
you get a demon core.
Brain science.
So we're talking about Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, 2012.
This is our duo.
Because we did Pitch Black.
We did Pitch Black. So we're obviously doing the companion piece, which is Pitch Perfect. In which Riddick terrorizes a local a cappella group.
No.
So
I think Fat Amy would take him down.
I think all of them would take him down. Riddick is a big softie.
He really is, though.
And Vin Diesel is a big sweetie, so
Yes.
I don't think that would be an issue. All right, so let's talk about Pitch Perfect. It's a 2012 American musical comedy film.
Yes.
Directed by Jason Moore and written by Kay Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
It features an ensemble cast including a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Anna Kendrick, Skylar Astin, Rebel Wilson, Anna Camp, who I love. Brittany Snow, who I love her so much.
Adam Devine.
Yeah, Esther Dean. Of all people, they got a ringer on their group.
And then, and Hannah Mae Lee.
Okay, so the film's plot follows an all-girl a cappella group who compete against another group from their own college to win the International Collegiate a cappella Championship. The film is loosely adapted from Cornell University alum Mickey Rapkin's nonfiction book titled Pitch Perfect, The Quest for Collegiate a cappella Glory.
I had no idea.
I can't believe someone wrote a book about singing.
I know. I'm not sure how that translates.
And director Moore's own experiences with his alma mater. I can say it.
Okay.
Northwestern University. Filming concluded in December of 2011 in Rogers, Arkansas.
Okay.
No idea.
That must have been when they were doing the bus trip.
Or, yeah, it could have been. It could also be that, that was also where Pitch Black was.
Oh, yeah.
done.
Well, I mean, sure.
So it looks much like Australia in that way.
Much like Coober Pedy.
So that is the Wikipedia shortened version of their thing, because it keeps going. It's very long.
Yeah.
So that's the summary of the summary.
Yeah. No, that's basically it.
When this first came out, how did you feel, Michelle?
I was excited. I wanted to see it because I love songs, and I have been in many, many choruses, and I did community theater, and while I would not consider myself a singer, I do enjoy singing. And I need a lot of practice before I get it exactly the way it's supposed to be. Otherwise, I get pooped on really quickly because they don't like how I sound if I don't do it right. So,
well, I think that's the way everyone feels.
But yes. But I mean, I just don't. I can't just blurt it out. I can blurt it out playing around, but if I was to be serious, I have to practice it.
Right.
Yeah, but these girls seem to be able to just blurt this shit out. And that just always amazes me because I knew people in the theater who could just do that. But yeah, so when this came out, I was excited. I was looking forward to seeing it. I don't think I went to the theaters. No, I did not go to the theater to see it. At that point, I was very poor, and there was no way I was going to. Well, it was 2012. We were together. We were poor. We weren't going.
We were poor. We're still poor.
I think I saw it on cable or some shit, and Yeah, it made me happy. I like compilation-y things like this where, where they had all the songs and they were the songs I knew, and I just enjoyed it and I was excited about it. So yeah, that's how I felt.
Okay.
How did you feel?
I felt the same for different reasons, not completely different. I cannot sing. I love the idea of singing. I love writing music. I love writing lyrics.
Lyrics, yeah.
So I really enjoyed the idea of this movie about women all singing together, and I didn't know what to expect. I just knew it was going to have Anna Kendrick in it, who I enjoy, and I knew it had Jason Moore. Now, Jason Moore, I don't know if you know this or not, but he directed the original Broadway production of Avenue Q.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
I love Avenue Q.
When I'm saying he's like looking at his own stuff, it's because he is musically inclined. The man likes music. So, I mean, he got Tonys, this man knows what he's doing. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is going to be big. You know? What I did not expect, however, is, and we're not trying to do a review necessarily, but something that I found when I watched it the first time, the emotional breakdown is, I was surprised because I thought this was going to be more about, it was about them bonding, but it really took a long time for that to percolate.
I know, and I really thought it was going to be more of, best friends forever, and then to have it be a bit more of a struggle to get there. I appreciated that. I appreciated the tension. It built it, and the silly was so silly, and then there's just so many good things about this movie.
So I love Skylar Astin, okay? I think he's fantastic. He's especially good in that TV show that we saw where everyone can, sings their thoughts and feelings.
What was that? I can't think of the name of this show. Okay.
Yeah, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. That came out in 2020. We really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Lauren Graham, though, bless her heart.
Oh yeah, really hard on
non-singers can't really. I get the whole premise of that show was that this was all in her head. She had a head injury and she could hear people singing and they would perform and everything. But Lauren Graham is not a singer.
Well, I don't know if she is or not. She sings better than I do, which is a really low bar.
What was her roommate, not roommate, her neighbor's name?
Yeah, you mean Alex Newell as Mo.
So Alex started out, they were brought in from, onto Glee from, they had this show of You Want to Be on Glee, and they literally had it was like a reality show, and and Alex won and got put on Glee, and it just snowballed from there. Their
I think
career.
I remember that, yeah.
And Alex is amazing. They are just amazing, just perfect.
Well, on that show, definitely amazing. That's the one I know about. I didn't actually watch the Glee.
I mean, the kids watch.
I watched part of Glee, the first season.
Yeah,
but after that, it kind of lost. I just didn't keep up with it.
Our youngest was obsessed with Glee, so I watched a lot of Glee with her.
She loved Glee.
That was her jam.
So with this being a Jason Moore direction, I expected a lot. Mm-hmm. But I also expected a little bit crazy. And you get a little bit crazy.
Oh my God, you get some crazy.
And the thing I really like about it is that no one in here is perfect.
No.
Everyone in here is so hopelessly flawed in a very comical way. And no one's getting deep.
No.
The thing I think was a misstep, and again, not trying to critique, I just want to say, I just, as much as I like Skylar as Jesse, and I like Jesse as the character, I like him better as a platonic friend. I don't think they needed a romance here.
I don't think they needed a romance either.
I think it was misplaced. I think you could have that same ending with Skylar, with them still being pissed at each other, as friends being pissed at each other.
I mean, but or end it with a hug instead of a kiss.
Right.
I agree with you. I feel that that was the one relationship that I felt like didn't have. There was more chemistry between Bumper and Fat Amy than there was between Jesse and Beca.
I don't know about chemistry necessarily.
But I mean, if you're going to go by, I really feel like if I just don't, I never saw it. Like, as a friend, yes. Be the best buddy friend. You know, realize that maybe this is just something that's not going to happen, but I need a friend, so be my friend, you know? Maybe have that conversation in it. But I do think that
so Beca,
it wouldn't make a difference.
Right. Beca and Jesse, they both work in the radio station at the college.
Yes.
All that time together, because it jumps months at a time. All that time together, and they didn't develop a friendship. They just developed this weird, like, non-love love interest.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I thought was weird, and it seemed like it threw the pacing off of the movie. And I could be wrong on that, but I think it was just there to slow things down in the movie. Maybe that's what it was supposed to be.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I mean, every plane needs air brakes, I guess, when they're that big. It's an ensemble cast. You have a lot of people. There are so many people in this that I'm not going to try naming everyone off.
I mean, I wrote down a bunch of names, but I figured once we mentioned them, then I'd have the name in front of me. Of just the main cast, not even... But outside of the main cast, when they go to the regionals? The regional semifinal, blah, 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 blahs, and the elder group of a cappella gentlemen. I mean, you got what's his name? DeLuca? Is that his name? Oh, no, I can't think of his name. Regardless, his name is Charles Boyle on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Can't think of his name in real life.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you get...
Charles. His name is Charles.
And you get Turk from Scrubs, which is... I know that's Donald Faison, right?
Right.
Okay, you know that one.
Yeah, but I still have to think Turk.
I had to think about it because he's always going to be Turk.
He's in the position of being Turk. I mean, that's entirely possible.
Oh, Turk could totally do that.
He was just singing in his old group in college that JD didn't get into.
Exactly.
He didn't get into the group.
Yeah, so it works for me. It's totally believable. Quarter black. And if you know, you know. And but honestly, even Charles Boyle being a part of that group totally makes sense to me.
I know, right?
So, except for the whole wanting to get pegged by the damn award, because I
didn't recognize that the first 1,000 times I've seen this movie.
I totally forgot that he does that. You know, that he's like, yeah, hit me, kick me in the balls. It's just he's like, I want to feel something.
He's kind of messed up.
He is very messed up. But yeah, this movie, it gives me definitely a happy. There's not much about it that I can tear apart. I mean, there's moments of ew.
There are moments of in everything that in this movie that are just like, did it need to be there? But I think you're supposed to have all these really glaring imperfections.
Oh, definitely.
To highlight those moments where they go into the pool, the empty pool, and they sing.
I love that. That's like one of my favorite parts is the riff-off.
I love the riff-off. The riff-off is a big part of this, and I think it's a big part of the scene. It's supposed to set how the college there sees their scene. And this is a lot like Fame, but without the ability.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no one can play an instrument.
No,
they're all really good at singing, but they can't play an instrument. There's singing is a skill. It's not they're
not in the Juilliard. They're not in. Like you said, it's not Fame.
You can refine that, but you have to have a natural talent for it. Whereas playing can be technical.
Yes, exactly.
Playing an instrument can be technical. So I think that this sets a lot, for the college's tone.
Yes.
Of how they're going to, be at the school, that it's a very big a cappella school. Although you see nothing else but just those competitions.
Yeah.
And the outside moments of them in those areas grouping up and then singing to each other.
Well, in the beginning when they go to the, what is it, like the fair, like the club fair or whatever they were calling it. The student fair or something like that, yeah. And you could see that there were different when Beca thought it was the DJ's club and it was just the something Jewish. I can't remember what it was. It was like something Jewish, denominational Jewish club or something like that.
Right, right.
And then there was when Jesse and Benji are walking and they see the treble clef. What are they? Yeah, the treble clefs. They behind them is a sign for Quidditch Club. So there were other clubs there, and you just never see them again. And the fact that there are 4 a cappella groups on this campus,
oh yeah,
is overkill.
That's true, but one of the things is I think that it's like the hub. You kind of get the sense that this is where the ICCA kind of exists in this area. So therefore, this college would be pretty big on the a cappella groups.
Yeah, I can see that.
So we have the 2 commentators for the ICCA.
Oh my God.
Which they are the things that kind of, the glue that holds these competitions together, because without their snark, I think it would come off as just watching people perform. But what you're doing is you're watching commentators comment on the performance.
And these 2, Gail and John, Elizabeth Banks and John Michael Higgins, are insane.
It's very difficult sometimes to watch them without laughing at them and forgetting that there's the rest of the movie to go by. But Elizabeth Banks co-produced this,
and it's the little side comments too. It's not the immediate of what they say.
Oh no!
It's as they're trailing off. It's those little side comments, and they didn't. They
You are a misogynist. Yes, I am.
They asked us not to return. So I mean, yeah, it's there's a history there. I would love to just be a fly on the wall and learn the history of those 2 and their past, because they do have such a past, because they mention little bits and pieces of it. And yeah, they're awesome.
So one of the things that I noticed, other than wedging in this relationship that didn't seem to really, didn't have that emotional attachment, it seemed like Jesse was a lot more interested in the movies that he was showing her than he was in her, and wanting her to appreciate things he loved.
Yeah.
And he never even, I think he listened to like one thing of hers.
I think so.
And that was it. But help me understand, because I think I am missing maybe the point of some of this. Beca, she does mashups.
Yes, basically.
That's her entire thing, is she does mashups. She wants to be a producer. But right now she's doing mashups.
Yes.
Is that so that she can be a DJ in the meantime?
I don't know.
Because
it doesn't really say
mashups aren't really an art form.
I mean, to a certain degree, I couldn't do it, but you have to be able to match the pitch. I mean, not the pitch. Well, yeah, the pitch, the tone, the beat. There's a lot that you got to get right so that it flows. Now, and I am not learned in this, so if I'm wrong and y'all and somebody out there is listening and they know,
believe me, if we're wrong, they're going to yell at me because I just said it's not an art form.
Call us out. But I don't necessarily think that. I think it's actually harder to mash up songs than it would be to DJ.
I'm not talking about the difficulty.
Well, I'm just saying, so I think the skill level. Because with the DJ, you can flow from one song to the other as long as it makes sense. But with the mashup...
I'm saying in the start, I think she said something to her father about wanting to be a DJ at first, and then...
Well, she wanted to pay her dues so that she can get into producing.
But the mashup thing is using other people's existing art.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, someone saying, well, I do AI art. I use other people's existing art.
I mean, yeah, to a degree. She's taking 2 pieces to make a third brand new piece, using 2 other pieces.
Right. That's what I said.
no, but I know I'm logicking it here. So, yes, I see that what you're saying is basically AI art, but
I'm not saying it doesn't have value. What I'm saying is what I'm asking is that actually considered its own art form? Or is it just that everyone knows that that's fun to do and a cappella can really benefit from mashups?
Well, if you think about all the people who do that stuff on YouTube, on TikTok right now, you see that on TikTok a lot. You'll see they'll not only just have a mashup of a song, they'll have it'll have like it'll sound like another artist singing the song. They'll have like Elvis's voice.
Well, they
singing.
change the pitch. And
Yeah. And that to me is, I couldn't do it. I don't know how they do it, so it's amazing to me. So I guess maybe mashups are not as popular now as they were in the early 2010s.
Okay.
But I don't know. This is not my forte. I think it started out as a hobby, and her dad was just, because, when we get into the bits with Becca's dad and how when him and her mother divorced, he didn't know how to really be there for her. I have a feeling that whatever Beca wanted, Beca got.
Right.
And probably it started out as I want to learn how to do this. And so he bought her all the equipment, and then it snowballed. They don't look like they're hurting for money. And she has a beautiful setup with laptops and computers.
Oh, yeah. This is a whole, nepotism thing where she gets into college because her father is a professor
there. So, yeah, I think there's also, with her, it's a hobby that's gone.
No one has to work.
No.
They're just here to do college.
And sing.
Right. No, you see no one else
this is not
going to work. This is not one of those realistic situations. This isn't fictional
Camp Rock where Demi Lovato has to work in the kitchen with her mom so she can afford.
Right.
Yes, this is not Camp Rock.
Right. So yeah, I think that emotionally this movie makes me happy.
Oh yeah.
Because I know that it's going to have a lot of good music in it. And it's not going to take itself very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I think in some instances it tries to take itself too seriously, and that's where it falls.
Yeah.
But I love the shower scene. I love Brittany Snow so much. I think she is so brilliant. And I think she's a very kind person, and that comes through in her characters.
Mm. Well, I didn't know until I was doing my research, but her and Anna Kendrick were actually naked in those scenes, and they had, to the point where they were not even putting their robes on in between cuts. They were she's like, I know Brittany's body better than I know my own right now. But so that way the reactions were honestly genuine, right. But at the same time, yeah, they were just totally naked.
I just love the way to me, that's a spontaneous thing that I know that I would not be able to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Brittany's character, Chloe, has to address the thing that's happening.
Yes.
She can't not address it. And that is something that...
Yeah, she heard her singing, and so she had to go in there. I am naked. I am in a shower with a guy, and I hear this girl singing, and we need people in our a cappella group. I'm going down there to see who it is. Oh, shit. I'm walking right in. Not even a care. Well, she goes... I'm very confident, very body confident.
But I love that scene because it really sets the thing of Chloe and Becca being friends.
Yes.
And I think it sets it as Chloe's really fearless.
She really is.
And Becca is nothing but a bundle of fear.
And so is Aubrey. Aubrey has a lot of fear. Because, she's vomited on stage. And people have recordings of it. And she's
a bundle of trauma. Her father has traumatized her so badly that I don't even think she understands that she's been harmed by her father.
No, and I think it's just 'cause he seems to be, did they say that her dad was a military dad? You get the impression.
I know in the second one, that.
Yeah, but in this one, I don't think we know that yet. But as somebody who's dated many people who had military parents... no offense, but your children are not your soldiers. I'm sorry. They're not soldiers, and don't treat them like that. I dated one guy his stepdad would whistle, and you had to know what the whistle meant. Dinner, dishes, take the dog out. You had to know. And I was like, bitch, I ain't going to respond to your whistling. I'm not your fucking dog. Not my parent. I didn't care.
Yeah. So Aubrey's trying to be very restrictive during this entire movie. She wants the Bellas to remain the Bellas that she joined, and that was handed down to her because she feels it's her responsibility.
Yes, because that one girl made her feel really bad about herself.
But also her father.
Yes,
this is all kind of a hand-me-down. She's kind of putting out the same kind of trauma as she got.
Yeah.
As she received. So she's very strict about things, but it's all about fear because letting go takes courage.
Oh, yeah.
Letting go and I do the same thing with the podcast every day. Every time we're doing the podcast, I have to let go of control because I do tend to do it because also traumatized by fathers. Not just fathers. We can be traumatized by anyone, but
yeah.
I had a very strict father, and I understand that. I understand that need to hold on to things because it gives you a sense of having options outside of what you normally have. Having control isn't always the issue. Sometimes it's about what you know.
Yeah.
And what you know, if it changes, now you're unknown. You don't know where to go from there. But I think that Aubrey finds out, like I do daily, is that if you just let go of things sometimes, it becomes a better thing.
Well, that's that whole what does Michael Scott say? You lose 100% of the shots you.
Yeah, you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. Yes.
And that's what it is if you don't take that shot, you're not going to know if I live in that every day of do I take this chance or do I not take the chance? And if I don't take the chance, what happens is I stagnate if I don't try.
Well, that's calculating the variables, I think, can also be a control point.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
So I think sometimes it's best just to, let things happen.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe not try to calculate it. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I'm saying I do that. I will calculate.
Yeah. I don't calculate shit. I just say, okay, well, it didn't work yesterday when I didn't try it this way, so let me try it this way today.
Yeah.
And besides, again, like I keep saying, I work with special needs. If you can't be flexible, you want what will work with, oh my God, I can't say. What may work today will 99.9% chance not work tomorrow, because tomorrow you will literally have a different child, even if they are wearing the same face and name as the one you met the day before.
Sure
because
enough.
Depending on the disability, you don't know. And so, yeah, you have to be willing to make those changes. And I'm bad about that too, though I am in my classroom. There is that fine line between repetition is comfort, which is probably where Aubrey is that repetition is comfort. We still do what we know is working for us, so why change? And then there is that whole, if I don't change this, I will murder somebody because I can't sit through this same fucking song again or the same video again, and I have to change it even I know it's going to upset people. I have to do it. And that's where Beca is. She is that if I have to sit through I Saw the Sign one more time, it's not working. It's not even...
Well, she's observant and she sees the crowd not responding and fading out and the judges lackluster. It's a given because they should already be knowing this. They should note this in their own observance while they're performing.
And why would you want to perform a song that you literally vomited? I mean, granted, she's trying to reclaim it, is what she's trying to do, but still,
I think a lot of that is, she threw up, and she's trying to gain some dignity back.
Yeah.
Because I think Aubrey is trying to relive the earlier times when they all put their hands in and did the perfect note. All that stuff for her means something, and that's fine.
You can't always relive
change is good. Change is a good thing in life, and she hasn't found that out yet, but she finds it in her struggle to keep control. She loses control.
So I have a
It's holding on so tight that things squirt out between your fingers.
Well, and it's also trying to relive a magic that happened. So sometimes magic moments happen. So I've got a funny...
I know this one.
I've got a funny story. So I am an alumna of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. And every year we have multiple conventions every year. I haven't gone to one in a couple of years because I'm now tired. But one of my favorites was our leadership, not leadership, honors in action, honor society. Not regardless. We would have this big meeting at the end of this convention. It was like the last big sit-in. And we were doing, right before we would do our Readers Theater performances. And the person who was running the program at the time, she would always play random songs. And the one night when we're waiting for the performances to start, Bohemian Rhapsody plays. And we're all singing along with it. But it became this room of over 100 people singing along to Bohemian Rhapsody. My friend gets up on a desk and he's pretending to do air guitar to Brian May. It was a magical moment and we were all there. It was just beautiful. Fast forward to the next event. And one of our presidents in the alumni society wants to hear Bohemian Rhapsody again. We want to do this again. And now we were all like, yeah, that's funny. Haha, let's do that again. It wasn't as magical, but it was fun. And then the next event, we lip synced to Bohemian Rhapsody because we have a lip sync competition to raise money for the chapter. And it was every event was Bohemian Rhapsody. It was like you could not relive that magic. Moments like that happen in a bubble.
And they're better if they don't get repeated over and over.
Exactly. And when you force something like that to keep happening, it just annoys the shit out of people.
That is I actually kind of know what this is because it's the nostalgia paradox. Mm-hmm. And that is that search for nostalgia. So you keep trying to recapture that nostalgia. And in doing so, you deconstruct that nostalgia so you lose it.
Yeah.
So now it's no longer a good memory because you have torn it apart.
I honestly cringe when I hear the song now. And I love that song, but I cringe when I hear it because I'm like, it's not, I don't know. It's just not right.
I get what you're saying. I do. There are a lot of aspects in your life that you can look at nostalgia that you've tried to recapture someone else has. Mm-hmm. And then you can say, well, oh yeah, I've torn that thing apart to where I can't even watch it anymore, or I can't experience this anymore because it's just not fun.
I mean, I traveled cross country by train, and while I was leaving a bad situation, it was an amazing experience. And I know I will never relive that experience the way it happened. Right. I was young, very, very young. I was very naive, very alone, very pregnant, and very scared. But the moment, like the people, that whole 3 or 4 days on that train was amazing to me. And I'll never get that magic again. And that's okay. Because it was, I cherish the memory.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, I cherish those memories.
I mean, if you can make it again, it wasn't really magic, right?
Exactly. And that's what and Aubrey, in my opinion, is trying to do that. She's trying to create that magic and keep it happening over and over again, and you just can't. You've got to change. You have to be willing to move.
Right. And then we have Fat Amy, who ends up being Fat Patricia.
I love Fat Amy.
Here's the thing I don't like about Fat Amy is that she doesn't play golf at all, and I think she should. No, I don't really have anything about Fat Amy. I think Fat Amy's issues are much like in Parks and Rec, Donna's issues. Is that she's,
too much confidence?
No one recognizes the fact that she's ultra cool outside of the sphere.
Yes.
So in their sphere, in their little group, they don't really acknowledge Fat Amy as being super cool. But if you look outside of it, everybody loves her in some way, or they think that she is completely crazy.
Yes.
But there's a very strong feeling one way or the other. Yeah. Whereas in the group, she's kind of almost forgotten a lot of times.
Yeah. So, and there's one scene where Fat Amy and, oh shoot, I can't think of who the character is who she's talking to. She's talking to the one blonde, but it's not Aubrey. I can't remember who she's talking. Blonde. It was when they first, right after they had their induction, and they go down to the amphitheater, and everyone's drinking and partying, but all the a cappella groups. and she's talking to this one girl. It's before she goes up to Bumper, and she's like,
is it one of the ones that actually comes back later and says, we've been here the whole time?
I don't think so. She says along the lines of one out of however many of us here is the likelihood of us being gay is, like it's one in so many.
Oh, right. Okay.
She married a woman last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty funny. Her wife is Ramona Agruma, and she's a fashion designer. But yeah, I think it's pretty funny that like the one thing that she made comment about in the movie is like,
well, Anna Camp's got a girlfriend, stylist.
Yeah, so there we go.
They seem very happy. It's very cool. But yeah, so Fat Amy is kind of on her own journey. You don't really know where she comes from.
No, as Tasmania.
Far as
that's about it.
You don't know where she comes from emotionally. You don't know where her family life is. She doesn't
come into play until I think the third movie.
Right. So you don't really know in this movie where she's coming from. She seems to be able to kind of flit around from one situation to another.
Yes.
And she keeps coming back to Bumper.
Yes.
Over and over again, despite both of them being very antagonistic towards each other. I'm just imagining that Bumper probably just enjoys getting pegged.
So Adam Devine actually hit a cameraman with a burrito when he was pegging it at her. He hit it.
He's a dork.
He really is. So Adam Devine, I didn't know this. So I've been watching The Righteous Gemstones, and he's in that, and I love him in that. But I honestly, he looks better now than he did in Pitch Perfect. Like, he's a baby in Pitch Perfect.
Well, yeah, it's an old movie. Yeah.
But the way he has aged very well. But he has, it's called stiff man syndrome.
Yeah, he found out he's sick, yeah.
I did not know that he was sick. And so that's part of why he is very fit right now, and why he's also going through like stem cell replacement therapy.
Really, obviously, for obvious reasons, he's really freaked out about it. Oh, yeah. It's something that he's been pretty open about.
But if The Righteous Gemstones is actually, it's one of those shows where it's very good at how bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, it is just...
Which is right in his wheelhouse. Because he's very good at being annoying and insufferable.
He's an idiot in this show.
But also, there's also that kind of thing where you're like, but he is good at what he does.
Oh, no, he is so good at what he does.
You can't disregard him because he's good at what he does. And it's kind of like he's a little bit like the dumbest version of House.
Well, he...
you have to admit he's good at what he does, despite being an asshole.
Well, he's the baby of the family in The Righteous Gemstones, and he plays that to its fullest and takes advantage of being the baby in the family and how, everybody loves me because I'm the baby kind of thing. The show is, if you ever get a chance to watch it, I recommend it. I'm not done with season 2 yet, so I'm a little behind, but yeah. Though I think it came to a conclusion, and I'm not quite sure if it did or not.
Yeah, so the Bellas have this tryout, okay, and in the first part of the movie, they all sit down, and all the a cappella groups are there, and the winner of last year gets to pick the song.
Yes.
What was that song?
Since You've Been Gone.
So it's Kelly Clarkson.
Yes.
Since You've Been Gone. And everybody has to sing that.
Yes.
My one contention, I love the moment where Anna Kendrick comes in and she does her cups. Sing it. And she does her cups thing. But she's not singing a cappella.
No, she's not. She's doing it with a cup. So
she's got a percussion going.
So that song is a combination of children's cup games.
Yeah.
And a song that was goes back to the 20s and 30s. A.P. Carter, he wrote it for the Carter family, which was his family's band. But Anna Kendrick heard Lulu and the Lampshades version from 2009, and that's the one she was doing. But this is an old... I didn't realize how old of a song it was.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew it was old, but it's the one thing that's... It's like you didn't do an a cappella version.
No.
Everyone else had to do it without percussion.
That's true.
But it's supposed to make her stand out.
Yeah.
That she did this really weird impromptu bit where she didn't know what she was going to sing, and she just picked up something and started doing it.
Yeah, and she pulls that out of her ass.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, if you asked me to sing something, I would do... So Adam Devine, he didn't realize that it was a musical when he auditioned, so he didn't have a song prepared, so he sang the Full House theme.
Right.
That would have been me.
So Jesse Swanson, he is not really here in the film. He's here, he sings, but you don't get a lot out of Jesse, and I'm okay with that, because this is not Jesse's story.
No.
This is actually not even Becca's story. You don't know what she's doing in her off time. If you notice, you just see them at the music, doing the...
the rehearsals and stuff.
They're doing the rehearsals. That's where you see them the most. You rarely see them outside of that. You never see them in classes.
No.
And you only see them like 1 or 2 times in the radio station.
Yeah.
You get the sense that maybe there were other scenes that were cut.
Maybe.
Because there seemed to be more to that scenario, but it just never panned out. I think that was a good choice to cut all that, because while I want Jesse and her to be friends and to develop a better relationship based on actual friendship and knowledge of each other, I think that this is more about the Bellas, and it should be more about the Bellas than it is about Jesse and Becca's relationship. So I'm okay with the little bit that you learn about him. He wants to score movies, and I think that's great. That's awesome. And that explains why he's into movies and stuff like that, and why he wants to share that with Beca.
Yeah,
and it also informs her choices in the end.
Oh yeah,
but I think for the wrong reasons, honestly.
Because I get that they have a fight. Honestly, she's kind of justified. I mean, she did blow it up, but she was right. So the fight with the older group of a cappella singers, because the boys win, and she gets arrested because she's helping her friends because there's this big battle, and she gets arrested, and Jesse calls her dad, and that pisses her off. She's right in the sense that you're not my boyfriend. It wasn't your place to do this. But she did go too far. I feel it's one of those things where I probably would have reacted the same way. I would have been like, who the hell are you? If you're coming in helping me as a friend, that's fine. But I didn't need you to get my family involved because it was not really their business. And I might have been pissy at that age as she was. But when she tries to apologize and he's like, no, and he shuts it down, that's a dick move, in my opinion. Because then that's why she ends up trying to appease him by throwing in the song and watching the movie Breakfast Club all the way through, and then throwing in the song from the end, at the end of it. She didn't have to do that. She shouldn't have had to do that.
I think that she overreacted with the father
she overreacted, but
I think that he was not right in calling her father.
Yeah.
Because she's not a child.
Yeah.
If she wants to call her father, she can get a phone call.
Yeah.
If he wanted to bail her out, he can bail her out. Why are you calling anybody outside of that sphere? Exactly. How do you have her father's number?
Yeah, when did they have a conversation?
Weird.
They didn't have that conversation on screen.
Right.
Who her dad is.
Yeah, that's really weird. Second, when she comes back to him to try to apologize, I think he was perfectly fine in shutting it down. He wasn't being mean. He just said, I'm just not doing this. And that's fine. You don't have to be a love interest.
No, you don't. But if somebody is apologizing to me, I would be like, I accept your apology, but I'm not ready to forgive you yet.
Well, he did essentially do that. He said, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
But not wanting to, saying I don't want to do this anymore, that implies a finality.
Sure.
But...
And that was his choice to do that.
I know. I just feel like I would have been like, okay, but I need time. And I may not.
Or maybe he doesn't need time. Maybe he's done at that point. And that's fine to have. He can be done.
Maybe because I like her better than I like him.
And that's fine too. I don't really have a dog in the race.
No, I don't either. I just think,
I think that it was fine for him to just be a friend, and maybe they fall out and he needs more time. And people say things all the time that are, seem final, but they're not final because no one ends their emotions on a whim. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You can pretend they do, but they just don't. They keep running.
Yeah.
And so Jesse being done, that's fine. I think it's good that he's just a friend, or maybe not a friend anymore. Her, pursuing that after the fact is her choice to do. But I think that the kiss at the end was way too far. It's just too far. Why are you forcing this relationship that didn't...
No, yeah.
Them becoming friends again would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Would have been just the right amount.
Because then that could have built more towards an actual relationship than this, and it would have made more sense, I think.
Sure.
Than this just going straight into kissy face in the middle of the auditorium.
Right.
Yeah, I think a hug would have been better.
So let's talk about Chloe. Because this is an ensemble cast. I want to get through some of the main cast.
Yeah, I want to talk about Lily, so yes.
Okay. So we have Chloe, she's kind of the heart of the Bellas. She's empathetic. She's kind. She is with her friend, Aubrey. But she also likes the people around her. She genuinely likes people.
Yeah, she does.
And she's not above anyone. So her emotional journey through the film is that she puts a lot on herself for her voice.
Yes.
And of course she has that, which becomes like a comic effect where she has nodes.
Yes, and then later on she's like, I'm sorry, I can't hit this because of my nodes, and everyone's like, your nodes, yeah.
Yeah. And it turns out it makes her, the surgery made her able to sing the low notes.
Yeah.
But I think that if you're looking at it from a little bit more realistic perspective, your identity, how you choose to present yourself to the world, means a lot to you. And if that gets changed out of your hands, you don't have the ability to control it, like her getting nodes on her vocal cords, that changes her dynamic. Her friendship with Aubrey, her identity as a person who can sing, that she loves to sing. She sings in the shower. That's her thing.
Yeah.
It can really affect you if it changes in some way. And your voice is fragile. It's a fragile thing.
It is. And I know that it has huge implications on a lot of people. We talk about this a lot. I know you have very much insecurities with your voice.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem with your voice because I don't hear what you're hearing. But I don't like my voice. I think my voice is nasally. I think I have, sometimes my accent comes through a little bit too much and I can't handle it. I have tons of issues with my voice. But, I find my voice very irritating. And I always tell my students, I don't even want to hear my voice right now. So the fact that you're making me repeat what I'm saying over and over again, I don't want to hear me.
It's like everybody doesn't like their own hair. They like everybody else's hair.
Yeah.
But there is a difference between not liking your voice and dysphoria.
I get that. No, I get that too.
And I'm not trying to compare those. Everyone dislikes aspects of their voice because you're hearing it played back outside of your own head.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds uncanny. It's that uncanny valley.
Oh, yeah. Listening to myself in my headphones right now it freaks me out every time.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like with Chloe, that is her, she's comfortable. She's comfortable in her body, so she's probably comfortable with her voice. And the fact that she can hit the notes that she knows if she says D flat or whatever, none of that makes sense. I can sing, I shouldn't. Notes mean nothing to me, but you tell her a note and she can hit the note, and I'm assuming she hits it because I couldn't tell you, but the fact that then she gets these nodes and there's this possibility of losing the ability. She can't hit the higher notes that she used to hit because the doctor said you can't, though she sang some pretty high notes. But then when she hits that lower note, that you can see the insecurity in her through the whole thing until her friends were like when she hits that note the first time, and they're like, oh my God, what was that? And you can see she was like, oh shit, where did that even come from? But when they reacted not the way she expected them to
Positively,
react,
yes.
that helped and that changed it.
But it's more than just her voice.
Oh,
Chloe also goes through a change through it by the friendships that she makes outside of Aubrey.
Yes.
Because she has been kind of subservient to that relationship.
She has, because it's been Aubrey's decisions.
Aubrey is in charge, and then she doesn't get a voice. She has to be the one that follows. Mm-hmm. And that is, again, a traumatic thing that people push on one another when they're also feeling that way.
Yes.
But Chloe, through this process, through this movie, finds her voice. Mm-hmm. And more than her vocal ability, she finds her voice to stand up to Aubrey's bullying. Mm-hmm. And to say, look, I am an equal. You're not above me.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that these little things in the film happen despite this being a fun little film.
There's a little bit more depth to it than, yeah.
I'm going to pull depth out of a puddle.
Oh, yeah.
So I will pull depth from just about anything because I will overthink it. However, I think that is a valid meter or two in the pool.
Oh, definitely. But like you were saying, though, like all the
you got to appreciate I went with meters instead of this.
All of the characters have depth beyond. Honestly, I think that we know more about the other characters than we do about the main characters. Like
Sometimes, yes.
Like we know that Esther Dean's character, Cynthia Rose, has a gambling problem.
Right.
We know that Stacy, Alexis Knapp, that her character likes to have sex a lot. You know?
But we also find out that Esther's character is gay.
Yes, but
that was something that she wasn't hiding. And everyone kept alluding to as if they didn't know, but she made no bones about it.
Yeah, she wasn't hiding it. And then we have Lily, Miss Hannah Mae Lee. Lily is I don't know if she's human.
She is the manic pixie nightmare girl.
Oh my God.
And I love that on her. I think she is
the things
perfect.
She says. So in the very beginning when they are doing the auditions, she comes up and she said, when I had gills when I was born, I had gills like a fish. That's what she whispers.
Right.
And they're like, what? And she's like, when I was born, I had gills like a fish. And they're like, okay. And then later on, when they showed the film, the video clip of Aubrey throwing up, before that, she's like, what happened at the competition? And do you want to see a dead body?
Right.
So, and then like, when she was when they were on the bus and the guy's rapping, or he's doing the beatbox while he's driving, and she's doing it with him, and he's like, hey, you're pretty good at that, and she's like, I ate my twin in the womb.
See, now that's the one I had not heard. I couldn't hear it, and I've never heard it. So,
I ate my twin in the womb. I love her. She's freaking nuts.
She's insane in the best possible way.
Oh, yes. I want to be her. I just want to make a non sequitur.
Well, I make non sequiturs all the time, but people don't appreciate that. But they don't appreciate her as much.
That's true, because they can't fully hear what she's saying.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of it, is they can't hear it, so they're not sure if they're misunderstanding what they're hearing. And they are probably hearing her well, but because she's saying something so fucking off the wall, crazy, batshit nut, they're like, I heard that wrong. Yeah, and see, that's the level of non sequitur crazy that shit bullshit you want to be.
Yeah. So the rehearsals are the place for them to vent.
Yes.
All these character flaws, all these issues that they have, not just within the Bellas, but outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you get people kicked out because
they slept with the other team.
Yeah, Aubrey's rule against no boning the...
Yeah,
what was it?
The treble clefs. If you have
no boning the trebles or something.
Yeah,
like that?
it was like if you have their bone in you, then you have been tainted by
Right.
Like, oh my God.
I do like Becca's comeback to Aubrey.
Oh yeah, I see your toner. And
I see your toner.
That's my dick.
That's my dick. We get to say a lot of things in this podcast today.
I know. There's a lot of good lines in this movie. Yeah, there's the worst though. The worst of all of this whole entire movie is when they're having their big fight at the end, right before Beca comes back.
God!
And Aubrey is like, "That's it. I'm not gonna hold it back," and she just vomits everywhere. And then they start a fight, and then Lily gets knocked into the vomit pile and starts making puke angels.
She does, yeah. She's making snow angels in the puke.
The vomit.
Without really blinking. She's just like, I'm down here. I might as well do it.
Gonna have some fun.
But honestly, that's not, for me, for whatever reason, that's not near as bad as when they knock the
whistle, the frickin' tune, the...
It's the tone, what is it?
Oh God, it's like a tuning whistle or something like that.
I don't know what it's called. But it's a whistle of some kind. It makes a tone so that they can set their...
Yeah.
It's for the pitch.
Pitch pipe. It's a pitch pipe. Oh my God, pitch pipe.
We were going to get there eventually, people.
Oh my Lord.
We know about music.
I've done research. Things. I watched the movie.
And also, I looked things up and I still forgot what it was called.
I like not knowing
It rolls
things.
into the puke.
That is so disgusting.
And that right there is where I went...
Blech.
Anna Kendrick's going to have to put that on her mouth now. I know they gave her a different one.
But still.
Or maybe that same one they rinsed off.
Oh, God, they disinfected it.
It wasn't actual puke, but still nasty.
Oh, my God.
It was a prop. We know that. But still.
We know, but it's not, not in that world it wasn't. In our world it was, but in that world it was not.
If you're going to change up the Bellas, just don't do that anymore. Just
get rid
of the
we don't need a pitch pipe. We don't need it anymore.
Maybe get a crack pipe. Meth pipe.
Oh, meth pipe.
Although it is better to inject.
Oh my God.
Or to inhale.
Don't inhale.
I'm not saying you should. I'm saying that is what I looked up, that it's okay. You have to look these things up so you know what the people in The Wire are talking about. That's all I can tell you. I'm that straight-laced. I had to look up how to use meth.
I mean,
that's what I do.
Well, we don't want to have a New Girl incident where you think that the aquarium rocks are crystal meth and that you've absorbed them through your breasts because you stuck them in your bra.
Honestly, I can see how that would be an issue. I would be freaked out about that. So how do you feel now watching this movie again?
I still love it. It's one of those ones where I could literally watch it over and over again. It wouldn't bother me. Like, yeah, it's so you know how I say all the time that I can't rewatch movies.
Right.
I have a hard time rewatching, like especially like
in this podcast where I make you rewatch.
Well, no. I mean, like, okay, I mean,
is this like, MST3K where you actually hate every time we do this?
Yes and no. It depends on the movie. No.
And you don't have robots.
Yes, we don't have robots. Damn it! I miss with the robots.
You have cats.
I do have cats. But no, I mean, like, so we just did Pitch Black. I don't want to watch Pitch Black for a long time. Even Legend, as much as I love Legend, don't want to sit through Legend again. But if we went back out in the living room and you put on Pitch Perfect again, I'd sit through it again.
So I downloaded Pitch Perfect. I've got it on my computer. Mm-hmm. Do you know why?
Because you watch it a lot?
Sometimes in the mornings, because I'm up at 3 in the morning on the weekends, despite being up 3 in the mornings on weekdays, I will just put it in. Mm-hmm. And this is why. Because I hate that movie so very much. I can't No, I love it. I love the movie. I enjoy it. It isn't an overthinker.
No.
It is something that draws you in. You understand the energies that they're putting out, and you understand the emotions that everyone is having, because every one of these characters is an icon for that emotion.
Yes.
So it's much like, what is that, the Pixar movie with the characters that are all inside the girl's head?
Oh, Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah. So it's much like that. These characters are all those personifications.
Yeah, I could see that.
So you really get a sense of, where you are by which ones you identify with during the movie that you're watching at the time.
So who do you identify with?
A lot of times I identify with Chloe, which is weird because I don't see that necessarily as me. I want it to be Beca because you would think Beca is the one who is stronger and kind of the outsider but I'm not. I'm more subservient in a lot of things in my life. I come off as like being in charge of things sometimes because I'm just loud.
See, that's where I feel like I identify more, not because I want to identify with her, but because I feel like the world identifies me like her. Fat Amy. Because I am very obnoxious and loud, and I do come off at times as being just ridiculous, and I feel like the outside world doesn't appreciate me for my actual amazing coolness, and they just see this, they're judging by the outer shell, and they just put me in this label. So I think that's where
I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I don't see it that way. I think that you're kind of a mix. I think you're a little bit of Aubrey sometimes. You pulled that off this morning or yesterday, calming me down.
Well, that wasn't, but no, then that wouldn't be Aubrey. Aubrey wouldn't try to do it like that to calm anybody down.
But there are a lot of times where you're different people. I think you're not any one person at any given time.
I'm a chameleon.
No, I think you're complex. There's a complexity to you. And that's the way when I met you a long time ago, you weren't just this girl. You weren't just this, I don't want to come off as sounding facetious. If I wanted a girl back then, I got a girl. I didn't need to catch a girl. I could get a girl. I had a girl.
Yeah.
It was not hard to get one because there's people everywhere in the world. You're going to be able to connect with one of them at any time of the day, anywhere you go. But what interested me about you wasn't a conquest or anything like that. It was that you were complex. You weren't just this manic pixie dream girl. You had layers to you.
Like an onion.
Like an onion. And I wanted to see all those layers. You interested me. You gave me things to think about. You had feelings that you were free with. You were free in telling me your feelings.
It's called no filter.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciated because as we know, me being autistic, I don't always catch people filtering themselves. I don't understand when they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's very confusing sometimes when they don't show any other emotion. And I'm only catching the one. But you were unfiltered in a way that is pleasing because I got honesty from you.
True.
So when I'm saying you're, this mix of a lot of different characters, it doesn't mean you don't have an identity.
Oh, no.
It means you are a complex creature, like any human is, but you're openly complex, and you don't have to apologize for being a wonderful masterpiece of all these different mixes of emotions and feelings and your thoughts and everything else. And I think that's what's beautiful about people that are open, is you do not have to worry about what's behind the canvas.
Yeah.
Because it's there on the canvas. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Well, I feel like, in this world we have too many cookie cutter people. There are too many people who try to be like other people. And I'm not trying to actively be not like other people. I just don't care enough to be like other people.
Yeah.
I like what I like. When I was a kid, I was always picked on for what I liked. So I learned when I didn't have those people picking on me for the things that I liked, that I could be free to literally be me.
Right.
And that's where that all comes from, is just that ability to just not, when you don't have to worry anymore about what other people think. And that takes a lot, especially when you're a kid. you want the approval of what other people think. And like, again, Aubrey, I feel like that she does that, and you want that she wants that approval of what people think of her. And what if it all fails? What if these ideas, these outrageous ideas, don't work? And then who becomes the laughing stock? I do. You know?
As a trans woman, I cannot understand that.
Exactly.
So, let's see if this movie can pass
Dun, dun, dun.
the Castellini test, written by Brie Castellini, the goddess of tests, who overwrote the Bechdel test. So, if you can do that, then obviously you're going to have some power. I hear she's raising Atlantis.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's going to be really neat.
Yeah, cool.
I hope she gets the moss out because I find it icky.
Yeah, it can be a bit much.
So, does this film pass the Castellini? Let's look at the first step here as I turn my page over so I can read it verbatim so I don't mess it up. There have to be at least 2 named women characters with at least 5 lines of dialogue each. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Jessie is not a girl. So, and neither is the professor. And that's all the characters. I think I just named all the characters in the movie.
You did forget Bumper.
No, Bumper's a girl.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. No, I mean we have Beca, we have Chloe and Aubrey and Fat Amy and Stacy and Cynthia Rose and Lily, and there's yes.
They all have dialogue.
They all have dialogue, and they all have at least 5 lines.
Even the 2 women that are in it that I honestly...
They were not in it in the beginning. That's the joke, is they were not there the whole entire time.
That's the thing. Even they had 5 lines of dialogue.
They had 5 lines of dialogue.
That's crazy, right?
Yes.
All right, so those characters must have a conversation, not necessarily with the other woman, either not about their partner or with their partner, future or current, and not about their relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even matter which ones you talk about. Other than her saying, Aubrey telling them, don't have sex with those boys, and I see how you've been eyeing Jessie. That's the end of the relationship conversation. Everything else is about the a cappella groups. It's about their relationships with each other.
Right.
But not a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
Yeah, this movie about relationships is a love story for women. And maybe friendship. For music.
Yeah.
But it's not, and friendship, but it's not about a love story between 2 people who are in love and having a relationship. It's just not that kind of movie. And I like it that way. I think that that's a good way to be. So it passes on that. The third criteria, at least one of the women has to be integral to the plot, meaning that if she were written out of the film, it could not reach the same ending.
Okay. Well, here's the problem with that. If Beca was written out of the plot, it would change the movie in the sense that there's a good chance the Bellas would never have gotten very far.
Right.
But it would still be that movie.
It wouldn't reach the same ending.
It wouldn't reach the same ending. But every one of those women are important to...
They're all crucial
to
that ending. Mm-hmm. You cannot write out any of the main characters, the main female characters in this story, the main women, without...
Any type of repercussion,
the ending.
Yeah.
You needed Fat Patricia.
Yes.
Or Fat Amy. You needed Aubrey. You needed Chloe. You needed these people in this.
Yes.
You needed Beca. So, yeah, I think that it passes the Castellini. Surprisingly, because, it was so close.
Yeah, it was such a male-centric movie.
Right. Well, and it's... Even if you took out some of that, it would still pass because we're talking about there's the equity in it goes without saying.
Oh yeah, I mean even if we turn the Castellini on its ear and changed it around, it would still be relevant because if you did it where it was like the male characters in the cast, it would still fall apart both ways because it is such an equity based cast.
Yeah, it's very equitable in the way that no one is saying they can't sing. Mm-hmm. No one is saying they don't have the ability to do these things. They're competing with each other.
Yes.
that's where it pretty much
Yeah, because
ends.
even the guys, like Bumper's crew and the girls, they don't say shit about their ability to sing.
No.
They just say the performances, the songs they're picking, being able to win the competition, but they're not actually like calling each other out. Well, you sing like shit. No, they acknowledge that they all sing.
Oh yeah, this is like Fame level. Everybody's singing at like Fame level here.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to bring in before we go too far in, well, we're almost done.
Yes.
Esther.
Esther.
She is a ringer. Why is she a ringer, hun?
She writes music. She's a songwriter.
And one of the songs
Oh shit! Which song?
she co-wrote is S&M
Oh yeah.
in the pool when they're doing the riffs.
Yep, and she's of course
That
she's
was
gonna
her
know
song.
She's gonna know the song because
I
it's
thought
her
that was
fucking
crazy
song.
because like when it first came out, I was like, "That is that?" And I had to go back and look it up a long time ago. And I'm like, holy crap, that blew my mind. It's like having somebody come in to one of the other groups and it's actually the artist's song. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I think that was a really good thing to put her in there.
I know. That was cool.
So that was a good film.
It really
I
was.
enjoy this film. It's a fun watch for me. I always enjoy.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely
watching
it is. I won't ever like say no to Pitch Perfect. If you would like to watch Pitch Perfect, and you don't have a copy of it on DVD, you can watch it on Google Play, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Fandango between $3.77 and $3.99 to rent.
So this weekend, pretty big occasion. Mm-hmm. We had the No Kings. Mm-hmm. And Bonnaroo as well. The No Kings. We had massive turnout.
Yes.
All over the nation, internationally even. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a very big voice. I think that it was a simple statement. Mm-hmm. This should be heeded and understood.
Yeah.
And I think that we came together as a nation, as a people, and said we will not have kings here.
Yep.
And we need to treat each other with humanity and understand that everyone has to get through life, and it's difficult enough without inventing reasons to hate one another.
Exactly. I think that if you question any of the stuff that has gone on in the past 6 months, just look at the numbers of the people who showed up in the whole state of Pennsylvania for these. That's just look at them. I'm not telling anybody left or right what's going on. Just take a look at them.
Yeah, pay attention to what's going on around you because it's out there. The truth is there to be seen. Mm-hmm. You just have to pay attention to it. And you have to understand that at the end of the day, we still all have to live together. We are all still part of this nation. And you need to try to find a way to make that work. Because we're not going anywhere.
No.
None of us are going anywhere. We all live here. We are all poor. We are all hungry. We are all working every day. We have to go to work. We have to pay our taxes. We have things to do. And we want to live our lives. Mm-hmm. And we want the American dream. And that should be available for everyone. That is what the American dream is.
And if you need a refresher course, go back. Watch the No More Kings song from Schoolhouse Rock. It's
right. Yeah,
it tells you why we are where we are and how we got here.
I can put a link to that in the description. So this has been Once More with Feelings with Beth and Michelle. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at OMWFPod. Visit our page at oncemorewithfeelings.podbean.com. Or you can send us an email. We would love to hear from you at omwfpod@gmail.com. Take a moment to subscribe, rate us on iTunes, and on YouTube. Ring that bell, I guess. I don't know.
So, our clues for next week. So this one it's got 3 clues. So this movie it came about from 2 different premises. The first one is, what if After a whole lifetime of playing video games, you suddenly acquire the ability to fight if you were encountered by somebody on the street. The other premise is that the creator, when he found out that his wife had dated 3 men before him that all shared the same name, that also prompted him to come up with this idea. But the third clue is the lead female memorized all the names of tea.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
Yeah, so those are my 3 clues for next week's movie.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun one too. We're gonna enjoy that one.
So, until next time, I set fires to feel joy.
Listen up, Akaballers. I have been rejected by the army, shoved into a Dora the Explorer backpack, and pushed into the girls' locker room wearing nothing but suspenders. But no matter, I am in the world that I love. And with the assistance of my boy Justin,
My liege.
I launched this year's auditions.